So you've grafted over the last couple of years and you finally saved up £25,000 and now you want to invest. Here's exactly what I would do if I were investing that in property today. First off, massive congratulations. £25,000 is an incredible amount of money to save, but it's not as much as you think. So it's a very achievable, not easy, but achievable amount of money to be investing and saving up, but there are limitations to this. Let's go through some options. Number one, buying a property in cash. You may not believe this, but there's actually quite a lot of areas around the UK, for example, Burnley in Lancashire, or maybe some areas of the Northeast, where you can purchase a property for around £25,000 today. Sounds genius, right? Well, no, there are some downsides. First, the actual returns are nowhere near as high as you would see on paper. See, there's a difference between paper and real returns. Paper returns are what you do when you're doing your numbers, and then the reality is very different. See, these types of properties are in rougher areas of the UK, and they're actually in rough areas of the rough areas, and there's a reason for that. And so what happens is that you attract perhaps the wrong tenant types that, whilst they nick your wallpaper, your pipes and smash your doors in on the way out, a lot of them won't actually pay rent. Now, I know I'm massively stereotyping here, but stereotypes are there for a reason. And what you want to make sure of when you're investing in property is not just the potential returns that you see on paper, but the reality and therefore the risks associated with it. The other thing with this is mortgageability. You have to understand that if there's a £25,000, £30,000 house, first of all, they are not mortgageable. The minimum is around 45,000, 50,000 upwards right now. And if it's not mortgageable, who's actually investing? Well, it's only going to be cash purchases. But think about this logically. If you were a homeowner and you were looking to purchase a property, if you have managed to save £25,000, that is a substantial amount of money. Most residential mortgages are 90% loan to value, which means you need to put in a 10% deposit. So let's say you've saved 25 grand. That means, subject to your salary being ticked off and other criteria being here, you can purchase upwards or up to £200,000. So if that is the case, why would you buy in an area where there's a 25 grand property? This is really important because your cash flow may be okay, but the capital growth will be near non-existent. Option number two is BTS, or buy to sell, or some of you will know it as a flip. Now, flips are great opportunities to earn more money, but what you need to factor in is there is an element of risk, especially if you are newer to property, which if you've only got 25 grand, I'm going to make the assumption that you are. The two risks are, number one, if you drastically underestimate, number one, the refurbishment, which you will, by the way, especially right now, the costs are rising dramatically. And if it goes over, do you have that buffer in place? A majority of the time, no. And number two, you're drastically going to underestimate how much time it takes. Why is that important to you? Well, because you're going to have these finance options in place that it is actually costing you on a monthly basis. Therefore, each month that it goes on, that's more council tax, utilities, and of course the mortgage or bridging payments that you're going to have to make. Maybe a better alternative would be to joint venture with somebody else that's experienced doing flips, where you both put in money and get the return on your investment that's gone in. Number three, I know it's boring as hell, but just keep saving. And I know a lot of people, you really want to move quickly, but I buy into the get rich slow methodology. And if you've managed to save up that 25 grand over the last couple of years, it might be worth saving for another 6 months to a year, getting closer to that sort of 35, 40 grand, and you'll probably find that new opportunities open up in front of you. I'm not saying it's the option you need to pick, but it's definitely one I would really consider, because I'm focused on the generational wealth that I can create over the next 20, 30 years, not so much the return that I can just generate today. Number 4 is educate and implement a low entry strategy. So I'm massive on education. I'm obviously biased on this because I run an education company as well. But if you don't know what you're doing, you must invest in education or you'll be investing in your ignorance. And some people think ignorance is bliss, but actually ignorance can cost you a shed ton of money. So the low entry strategies I'll be considering is number 1 is rent to rent. Remember though that you are going to have to do ongoing management of the property, which takes up skill and time. Number 2 is a lease option, which I'm not going to be breaking down right now, but the downside is there's almost always a problem with the property or situation. Or number 3, and my favorite, would be deal packaging. But again, you need to factor in this is an active strategy and will take up to 10 hours per week as a minimum investment of your time in this. By the way, if you're watching this and you do want to go forward and get some paid for education in deal packaging or scaling your portfolio, put education in the comments right now. Number 5, and this is kind of outside of property but still within it, is loan your money to somebody more experienced. See, when I got started and I wanted to get a return on my money, I thought of an earn and learn opportunity where I could loan my money to an experienced individual, get a return on that. So we pay people, if you were loaning your money to me, we pay up to 7%, and you're able to get experience, real life experience as you're going along at the same time. So whilst it's not you directly owning the property, you are financially benefiting with very little risk from day one, and also getting that active, real, in-person experience of property investing. And finally, number 6, buy a buy-to-let property with a mortgage. Now, personally, I wouldn't like purchasing anything below £70,000 because I don't think it's got the opportunity for significant capital growth. So let's go on a £70,000 purchase. You're going to end up purchasing likely on a 75% loan to value purchase, which means a 25% deposit. That's going to be £17,500. If we factor in £3,500 for a bit of a tart up on the property, new carpets, lick of paint, we're going to have stamp duty at 3% on that, which is £2,100, and £1,500 for legals and your broker. That totals £24,600, and it's going to get you a strong buy-to-let property that's both giving you a nice kickback in cash flow through your rent and also potential capital growth over the long term, typically and conservatively at 5% per annum. Those are my top 6 suggestions with what I would do if I was starting again with just 25,000, but this is about you. If you're sat there watching this video, let me know what you're going to do. Is it from one of my top 6, or have you got your own? Let me know in the comments below, and if you got value from this video, it would help tremendously if you just lightly tap the like button. And if you're new to the channel and you're interested in building your property portfolio, make sure to hit the subscribe and the notification bell, and I'll see you in the next video.